back to Wild and Free Art. Today in our video, I am going to show you how to make paper bags out of newspaper. I did post this on the little community post section, but I'm crazy and I signed up for a craft show at the beginning of June. So now I am putting a whole bunch of stuff together to bring with me to the craft show. So over the next couple of weeks, I hope you bear with me as I show you a few makes and stuff that I'm bringing to the show and that I'm making for myself. I'm trying to keep it as low budget as possible for me. I have no idea how much this show will bring in, if it brings in anything, but I'm mixed between really excited and really nervous at the same time. So I decided that I would make some of my own paper bags in the hopes that, you know, when people buy something, I can just pop everything in. And I had seen quite a while ago now on 49 Dragonflies, she received something. And it came in this handmade paper bag made from newspaper. And I thought that was just such a genius idea to reuse and repurpose. So I have been watching a few various videos and I found one on how to make paper gift bags. And the idea more or less is the same, except that I just used newspaper. So I didn't have a lot of newspaper. And so I posted in the local community group and asked if anybody had any old newspapers, and a wonderful lady replied, and I was expecting a couple newspapers, but instead I got about, I don't know, 1 million. And she said that if I want more, she's more than happy to give them to me. So now I have a substantial amount of newspapers. So I think I'm going to have to make some stuff with that. I don't know what else I can make with all this newspaper. If you have any other ideas, do please let me know in the comments. I would be very happy to, use this up to make something creative and beautiful. I'm definitely going to try paper mache. That's on my list. And of course there's these bags. So I hope you enjoy today's video on making these bags, and I hope that maybe you'll make one and find it a nice and creative way to give a gift at birthdays or Christmas, or at your own craft market if you tend to go to one. So let's get started. So in a weekend, I managed to make all of these bags, and I made them in 2 different sizes, and all you need is newspaper, a glue stick, a bone folder, a hole punch, and some leftover string if you want it, and that's it really, and space, lots of space. So again, as I said, I've made 2 different sizes. So I'm going to show you first how I made the big ones and then how I made the small ones. So because newspaper is quite thin, you need to make it a bit stronger. So I glued 2 pages together for the big bags, and I just glued 1 page in half for the smaller bags. So here I am just gluing the 2 pages together. Make sure you get the edges because you don't want it to fall apart really. If you wanted to, you could probably sew and whatnot, but I mean, what I want to do is make fast and quick bags. I don't need fancy ones. But if you were making these for a gift or something like that, you could really dress them up so nicely with decorations and sewing and little gift tags and all sorts of stuff. So this is just basically the base of it. So line up your papers and just press down on them to make sure that they adhere all through the page. Once it's all pressed together, it's time to make the folds. Now, I didn't make mine particularly fat, but in some I made them a bit fatter. Here, obviously, it's up to you. I chose to go the width of the ruler for this bag, but you can obviously measure it and go wider, make the bag whatever works for you. So here you just have to fold one piece together, and then you are going to fold the rest of it in half over to that piece. The next thing that you're going to do once you've glued your bag is to make the bottom. So you're going to just take the bottom piece and fold it up, crease it nicely, and then here you're going to do some kind of origami. You're going to open it up and you're going to press down the triangles that are on the two edges. So I just put my finger in and then I lined up the crease with the fold and just pressed it down and made sure that it was nicely done. Then you take your top part and you fold it down a little over the halfway mark. That's what I did to make sure that they had a bit of overlap, and then you fold the bottom one again to the top piece so that it has some overlap, and you're going to then glue those together. So you're gluing the top strip together by just doing the sides on the triangles and pressing that firmly. Don't glue the other bit or you're just going to glue it to the bottom of the bag. And then the bottom one, that's when you glue the two triangles and the strip at the top. Don't go too wide or again, you're going to glue the bag together. So once that's done, it's time to fold the sides. When you're folding the sides, you need to be careful with your measurements. I've used a straight edge to make sure it was nice and straight. But what you want to do is make sure that the mitered corners, let's call them, meet up on the bottom of the bag. So you want the two edges of the folded one and the bottom one to actually be touching. So you don't necessarily need to use the ruler. I did just to make sure it was a nice crisp corner, but you have to make sure that the bottom two bits are touching. If not, you're going to have a bit of trouble popping open the bag afterwards. And you'll see that when I do the smaller one, I wasn't as careful about my placement when I did the corners, and I struggled to open the bag properly. Once you've finished folding your sides, it's time to fold the top. This is going to be then tucked in, and it's going to reinforce where you're going to put the handles, if you choose to put a handle in it, of course. You could easily not put handles on your bags. I'm also refolding the sides in the opposite direction as well, just to make it easier to pop it open afterwards and push the sides in, but this is totally optional. It's up to you. Now it's time to make the magic happen. We're going to turn this folded thing into a bag. You just put your hand in there and basically you're going to pop everything out on the bottom, and then you're going to squeeze the corners in from the bottom, so the little triangle shapes, and your two sides in. Just pop it down and pull the corners on the bottom, and it should pop out more or less straight. Sometimes you need to get in there with your finger to pop out the corner there, but you'll see it is fairly simple to get. And basically it's starting to look like a proper proper paper bag, not plastic, a normal paper bag at this point. Once you've finished popping in the sides and sorting out the bottom, it's time to take care of the top. This is going to be, as I said, your handle reinforcement. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in along the crease that you made earlier when you were folding it at the top. So you're going to open up the bag a bit, and then you're going to start pushing it down along the crease and just folding it all in there. And this will make sure that the handles that you use don't cut through the paper and then rip through the bag. Now it's time to punch the holes. This is where you can decide if you're going to do what I do and punch holes. You could also like glue something on or staple it on. If you have a 2-hole punch, it would be great, but I just used a 1-hole punch and I eyeballed it. And then, just to be extra safe, I decided to use hole reinforcers around the holes that I punched, just to add an extra level of, security. If you were really going all out for this bag, you could even put eyelets in it. You could, put like a round of decorative tape and then punch the holes. I mean, obviously, then you can take this basic structure and use it for anything. Our next step is making handles. So I decided to go for making paper handles for my larger bags and string handles for the smaller ones. This is because my beautiful stash of string is still in Italy and I didn't have as much rope and string of the right thickness for the bags. So I decided to make some paper cord, which I'm going to show you how to do here, and use that to make the handles. So the first thing you have to do is cut strips of paper. So in this case, I used the handy dandy newspapers of roughly around the same width, sorry, and you're going to basically twist these together to make a cordage, So what I've done here is, just because of the lack of space and to make it easier with my ruler, I've taken a page in the newspaper and I've folded it in half. And now I'm just cutting the strips. After that, just to give them strength, because as I said before, newsprint is very thin paper and not as strong as it could be. So what I've done is I have taken 2 strips and glued them together. So I opened them up, went with the glue stick, put on a layer of glue, and then added another strip on top and pressed it down really well together. Once you have your strips glued together, it's time to start making cordage. Now, it seems a little bit difficult at first, but it really isn't that hard. So you need 2 strips of the paper. What I've done is I kind of squeeze it a little bit as I go. And just to get started, you're going to twist a little bit of each of the papers away from you. So you're twisting away. You're holding one end and twisting the other one away from you. Once you have a little bit started, it's time to put the two pieces together. And then this is where it gets a little complicated. You take the one that's furthest, you twist out, and then you bring it in. So the furthest piece twists out, then you fold it over top the other one towards you. So out and over, out again and over. And you just keep going all the way to the end of your pieces. Once you get to the end of your strip, all you have to do is just put it in a loop and there you go, you have a handle. It's pretty easy. So now you're going to repeat exactly the same step for the next handle. Once your handles are done, it is time to attach them to your large paper bag. Attaching the handles is pretty easy. Just pinch it together and poke it through the hole from the outside. Then you're going to want to very carefully tie a knot. Just a normal knot will do. But you will have to kind of use your hand to squeeze it together a little bit. I'm sorry, I got way too close to the camera here, but hopefully I pull away enough for you to see what you're supposed to do. And then you kind of loosen it up and then you're going to repeat on the other side. Let's hope that this time I don't get so close to the camera when I am tying the knot. Once you're done the handle on one side, flip the bag over and repeat on the other side. If you have a bit of left over on the inside where it's a bit long, just trim it off with some scissors like I'm doing here. And then voila, you have your very own larger-ish paper bag that you have made 100% using recycled and repurposed materials, and no two bags will be the same. So I am very pleased with how the big ones came out mostly, but because I also am hoping to sell a few smaller things, I made a second size. And so the next one I'm going to show you is the smaller sized version. The idea behind the small bag is pretty much identical to making the larger bag, except that we're kind of doing things on a bit of a smaller scale, and there are a few tiny, tiny differences. So the first thing is that you're not gluing together the whole big spread of the newspaper. What you're doing is you're just basically taking a page and folding it in half. Again, you're repeating the same process. You are gluing it down, folding it over, pressing it really well, and then you're, instead of actually folding it from the height of the paper, what you're going to do is you're going to turn it to the side, so in landscape, and you're going to then do your folding the same way. So at that point, you're going to make your end fold, and then you're going to be folding it in half and gluing that edge to your folded strip. For this one, I would recommend using the naturally folded edge of the paper as your bottom so that the bits don't come unglued. And again, you're going to fold up, push your finger in to create the triangles on the edges, and then fold the top part down part way and the bottom part up in order to make your kind of like crystal shape. And you're going to just glue the edges together just like you did before. So on the top, just the corners, and the bottom, the corners and the bottom lip, so to speak. Once you've done that, it's time to fold the sides again. Now here is where I was not as careful. I did not line up my mitered edges, which is what I did on the big one and I should have done. And you're going to see later on as I put it together that, well, I'm going to struggle a bit to pop it open compared to the other one. But the idea is there. Learn from my mistakes. So you're going to fold them back together again just to make sure it's a little easier. And then you're going to fold your top part in to reinforce your handle. Once you've done that, it's time to pop open the bag. And just like you did before, you're going to put your hand in, open it up all the way, and try and fold and bend your sides in. After you've folded out the bottom, it's time to fold in the top. So just like for the other one, you're just tucking it under and getting it ready. Now, this is where I changed it a little bit. Rather than use the hole punch for putting in my handles, I decided to use my awl and just poke it through both sides and then run a string through it. This is because it's smaller and the paper handles were quite chunky, and I just felt that it would fit better as a smaller, with a smaller type of handle, and I did have a bit more small string on me. So again, I punched the holes with the awl, I threaded a large eye needle with a piece of string, and I just poked it through, tied a double knot on the inside, put the needle through again, tied another double knot, and repeated with the other side. And that is how I have made almost 40 paper bags to bring to the craft fair. I am very optimistic. I made 20 small ones and 20 big ones, and fingers crossed I use them all. What can I say? If not, they're ready for future gift bags and maybe other craft fairs if I decide to do them. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and being inspired to make your own little gift bags. It's not that hard, and it really is a lovely little touch to your already beautiful handmade journals. If you did enjoy this, please don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any updates. And thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.